Welcome back to Word Blindness, Dyslexia Exposed. This is Juliette Hahn. I'm here with my co-host, Brent Sobel. How are you? With his toy, he's got his fidget stuff. I got my fidget stuff.
This is.
Okay, so the last three that have gone out, people are going to be like, God, are they still on this? What's wrong with them? Do they have dementia too?
Well, that clears. I got CTE, I got dementia, I got them all. So,
right. Well, yes, because we actually talk about it, which is hilarious in the two before. So I will spare everyone that's listening.
Three for $1.
Did you see I had to pause for a second? I was like, what?
Do that math, didn't you?
I did. So today we want to talk about, and it's interesting because I'm going to preface, we've had a couple weeks that we've taken off and a lot of stuff has transpired, like always, which is great. Some good, some bad, some learning, some not fun learning that we've had to do, some situations that will all come out, but we're not going to get into it now. But one of the things that we did really want to focus on was that people say they understand, but they really, really don't. And not saying that they don't want to, because it's not a lack of trying to understand in depth. There's a lot of surface. Oh, yeah. But when you get to the root and really get to some of these learning disabilities and you're talking and then you realize, oh my God, they have no fucking clue. And I thought they did. And sometimes it hurts. Sometimes it's like, okay. And you just don't know the depth of someone's understanding until you really get into deep conversation. And not everyone wants to get into deep conversation.
No, we know at a very young age, we're different. Without even knowing, I can look back and like hockey, I think I was the only pro hockey player to never take, a pregame nap. People just thought I was a complete, lunatic. And I didn't know why I was doing it until a couple of years ago. Right. So it took me till 10 years after I was done playing hockey and learning about dyslexia and all learning different disorders and what was going on. And it took me that long to piece it together. So the more tired I was going to the rink, the less my dyslexia and ADHD worked. Well, it took me 45 years to figure that out. So that was me doing things internally without even know why I'm doing them.
Innately doing it.
Using that word. And we do the same thing with, with learning differences, dyslexia, for example. How many times you go to write a sentence as a kid and I don't know how to spell this word. So you sit there and spend 15 minutes trying to reword it. And not knowing, had no clue what it was. Like, I had no clue what I was doing, but it was me trying to find a way around not knowing how to spell that word. Or, convincing somebody to do your homework. Or what was yours? In your pencil, you had the red pen, the pencil where you pull it out.
Yeah, I would break it so I could cheat in Latin.
Right. But and these are the terminologies, and how many times have I pieced things together so far in advance, people had no idea. I don't piece things together because I'm better, or I have more understanding because it's me.
Mm-hmm. Right. It's an experience you went through.
Right. So that's why I'm able to, if somebody says something, or, let's talk about that reading program called the Reading League. From upstate New York, can't stand them, hate them, read, lead, go fuck yourself. And why do I say that? Is because as a dyslexic, we suck at reading. So we're not going to go into a reading league. Just like if I'm a terrible bowler, I'm not going to go and join a bowling league. Or if I'm a terrible hockey player, I'm not going to go join a hockey league. Mm-hmm. Now, a non-dyslexic would never piece that together, because I remember when you and I first saw that, we were going nuts.
Mm-hmm. I was like, that's a terrible name. I was
terrible
like,
name.
Gave me anxiety.
Anxiety from it, and the reference. Elizabeth's like, what are you talking about? Like, calm down, stop. But then I have to break it down to none of us. But that's just a small example of how a certain word you'd never catch if you didn't have that experience.
And I want to bring it even deeper.
Perfect.
So many people don't allow themselves to self-reflect and dive in and really do the hard work internally because they don't have the capability. And I know you're going to have thoughts in here. So just, this is just all coming as I'm speaking. So there's no thought behind it. But as you were talking, I was like, I just had this conversation with a new trainer that I'm working out with. And we got into like a very deep conversation very quick and personal, like very personal, deep. And I said to her, because she's in her 40s, and I was like, do you know how amazing it is that you're doing this work now? And she kind of looked at me and got welled in her eyes. And she said, it's tiring and I don't want to do it. And I said, no, but you're not going to ever heal and ever find someone, she's single, that you're going to partner with and have it healthy until you go through all of this. And it doesn't feel good. Listen, I was like, we all have gone through different things and we all traumas, and we have talked about this on the podcast. There's different levels of trauma. It's funny now that I'm older and I would think about things that I was like, no, it's not that big of a deal. I actually am like, okay. It was actually a big deal to me and the way I was shaped as a human and some of the thought patterns that I gave myself, even though they weren't negative, like self-talk, but it did shape me into the way I approach things and the way I did things. And even up until like a couple weeks ago, I've had some epiphanies and I'm like, oh, fuck. All right. I will work on that. And in relationships, in being a parent, in being a colleague, it is so important. Being a friend, being a sibling, and all of these things in this world, for us as a nation, as a world, whatever, to heal and get to a better place, we all really need to do this work, whether we like it or not. And we are not going to, and I'm taking this out of just dyslexia, because I mean, this is like, it is so broad and it just keeps getting thrown in my face how much I see how people are suffering. And I'm like, holy shit. And sometimes it feels like, okay, I know I'm not here to fix people. That's not my thing. Like I'm not, even though that is something that I sometimes, because of my past, I'm like, oh, let me go help and try to fix that. There's not that situations, but because I've become so self-aware and I've done a lot of internal work, it doesn't mean you have to go. And we talked about this. I don't talk to a therapist. I have like a couple friends, we do this podcast. There's things that you can do to do that self-healing without having to go to a therapist. And some people always think like that self-healing, you have to go. And I know you have a lot of things to say, but it is so crucial as us as human beings to do that hard self-work, or we are never going to get to that next level. And we will never be able to bring the people around us to that next level until we face the hard things. Like, okay, yeah, I have been doing this X, Y, and Z. And this is why I've been doing X, Y, and Z. and not beating ourselves up for some maybe activities that we're doing as we're getting there, because that's the thing I think a lot of people do. They're like, well, now I'm doing this. This isn't healthy. Like this isn't good. But it's a healing thing, and it's getting us to the next place to understand us as individuals more. Did I make any sense?
And there's a lot of things to unpack there. It's nothing in life is easy. And, the one thing is that everybody's traumas are the worst traumas because it's theirs. So you can never look at somebody and say, oh, that's not that bad. Or, oh, that's okay. Right? Because you don't know what's led up to that. What else is, there to unpack. And that's probably the biggest thing when it comes to learning disorders. That's not that bad. Or you just flip your B's and D's, or you don't.
It's not taking you down. Look at your job now. It really didn't do anything to you before. Yeah, it fucking did.
People talk, for me, oh, Brett, you made it. Hockey gave me 10,392 million worse scars than positive. No question. Was winning the Stanley Cup. Yeah, it was great. It was great because it's given me this platform to talk and trying to change the dyslexic world. But no way, just because you've done this, hockey isn't that great to me. Don't care. I care about changing these scars, and I can't tell a cancer patient how to feel. I've never been there. So you don't have dyslexia or dysgraphia or ADHD. So how can you tell them how to feel?
Or to learn.
Or how to learn. And that's the biggest misconception what's going on in the world. And, I get fights and get angry with because you don't understand. And all the people that are, trying to say they're doing good things, or they're trying to, you're not, you're going about it the wrong way. And there's no partnering up. They all want to be the hero. You can't be the hero of something you don't understand. And you talked about is, self-reflecting and going back, and that's why most sober people are the best people. Why? Because if we don't self-reflect, we don't stay sober.
Right.
Is it easy? No, life's not easy. And it's getting, it's getting harder, and being a parent, and life's not easy, but it's be able to sit back, take a look at it, and sometimes it's writing things down to be able to start understanding them. Like use the pregame nap. It took me 45 years or whatever it was to understand why I did that. And that was my job. I was a pro athlete for 18 years and had no clue why I was doing it.
Do you want to explain so people that haven't heard?
Most, I guess probably 95% of hockey games, as a pro hockey player are played at night. So we usually in the morning, if you're at home, you get up in the morning, have breakfast, and then you go to the rink and you'd have a 10 a.m. skate. Yeah. Quick practice. The other team, the visiting team, would be on at 11:15, something like that, for a quick, half an hour. It was called, get a sweat, stretch, get moving, go home. I would eat my pregame meal at noon, and most guys would pretty much every guy but me would go and lay down. Some guys would go lay in bed for an hour. Some guys would sleep for an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours or 4 hours. I never did. People all thought it was weird. And then game was at 7 or 7:30. I was always there 3 hours before. I could never be rushed. I had to be in my routine. I had to know where things were. I had to know what I was doing, where I was going. As soon as I'm off my call it routine, ritual, call it whatever you want, I was lost, because then I start panicking. I don't have time to do this. I didn't do this right.
But that was all in your head. Like, I mean, not in your head, meaning that you were in your head, but you were panicking in your head. Like, no one else could actually see that you were panicking, but your thoughts and your mind. And that's what a lot of people will be like, well, I didn't know that because he looks normal. But in your mind, you're freaking the fuck out.
Oh, freaking out. Even today, like, my anxiety obviously is real bad. I've got to be somewhere, not 5 minutes early, 45 minutes early. Because if not, then I start panicking. And that panic is, okay, I need to know where I'm going. I need to know how I'm going there, because I'm afraid of going there and doing it wrong, taking a wrong turn, not taking the right step. Because now this goes all the way back to going to school. How many times do you go to school? You get laughed at. You didn't do it right. The teacher, the kids, the class. It all stems, from those instances, from those years in school, and that's how long it's carried with me. So you've got somebody who doesn't have, dyslexia, but you need to do this. How do you know? You don't know. You got no clue what I need. Like, people listen, to me talk and how I pick up things. I'm like, I pick it up because it's me. Mm-hmm. You can't pick up things you don't know or understand. And that's the biggest portion. We all think we know, but you don't know.
And a lot of people have good intentions. So I just want to
those are two different words. I don't mean to jump in. Like, knowing and intentions are two different words.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not, Dr. Dyslexic, I'm not saying they're bad people.
Right.
I equate them as being bad people once I get to a certain point. Like, how many times we've had these conversations, people look at me like, you have no idea what you're talking about. You're an idiot. Hundreds, probably in, past 2 years in this conversation, hundreds come down the road to find out I was 10 feet. Mm-hmm. Why? Because it's not a broken bone where you can study it, it's your brain.
And there's so much we don't know about the brain, even though there's studies. But so I do want to say, so when you were not taking the nap, and it was what you came to the realization is the more tired your brain was, you knew physically you could do it. You knew your body could get you through it. But if your brain was shut off because it was so tired, it didn't overthink. And so you could just play.
Yeah. I could play hockey, not think hockey.
Yes, which I love when you say that, because that is, if someone can really actually stop and listen to that and think about that, because they might still not understand it. And if you really think about that, that is like you doing something internally because you realized, oh, wait, this works. And your body being like, okay, this feels good. This works. This works. There's so many things that our bodies do that way. There's also so many things that our body does the opposite way, because we've created pathways and we've created routines that are, not healthy, but your body then craves it. And it's like, oh, I need to do this. That was a good thing that you did, even though someone might say, well, you need the sleep. sleep police over here. Always like, you know, you need to sleep. But when you said that, I was like, that's so interesting. You had all the confidence in your physical body. As you said, you can move a house, you could do all these things. In your physical body, you had 100% confident. You were very, very confident and you know what you could do. But mentally, you weren't confident. So if you could just shut that off, so it stopped giving you the self-talk and all of these different things and getting in your way, you were able to play.
You know, how many people in the world don't make whatever they're trying to make? VP, CEO, pro hockey player, pro golfer. Is it physically or is it mentally?
Mentally. It is fucking mental. And there's levels that, I mean, I could get real spiritual and real deep here. So I'm just going to go, but there's so many things that people can do, but there's also ceilings, right? There's ceilings of what people's capacity is, but you always could get a little above it, even a lot above it, if you really train your mind into be like, okay, I'm going to.
My kids hated me.
Yeah.
Hated me on the bike. You know, we're riding up a little hill. Their legs are getting tired. No, I'm tired. Nope. You know, what is it, Thomas? I think I can. 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 Your mind is the strongest part of your body.
Yep.
And did I ever send you that video of that?
Yeah. When you're moving, so yeah.
And go. You know, so it's, you know, I do this all the time. It's your mind. So my kids used to get, no, my legs are tired. Nope, I wouldn't let them go off the bike. God, they get so mad. But it's
so true, though.
You know, you tell yourself you're tired when you wake up in the morning. You're tired.
Yeah.
You know, so it's mental. You know, it's that brain. And I think I heard somebody say that, you know, we only know like 10% of what the brain's capacity is. Okay, so let's take that for, you know, use that number. I don't know if that's the right number or, you know, I've heard that.
Around there.
So dyslexia, you know, dysgraphia, dyspraxia, dyscalculia. Yeah, that's all our brain, right? ADHD. So you're going to tell me you understand everything about it, but we only know 10% of the brain. Now, how does that make a lot of sense? And that's where I get, you know, the people that want to go and do good for dyslexia. Great. I've got no, great. That's what this is for. This is why we do this. This is why we have these conversations. But you don't know it all. You don't have it. You know, so it's putting it in perspective. How many conversations we had with doctors?
Don't even get me started. Because it's, I mean, learning out of a book, this and that. And that I wanted to take it now to, because there was 3 points that I was like, I'm going to touch on from what you were saying. And one of them is, so many people we also talked to, they're like, well, there's so much more awareness about dyslexia, like, and all of the technology and all of these things. It's so much better. Look at the fucking numbers in schools and then tell me what you think there. Like, I will say that. Okay. That's one.
Way worse than it's ever been.
And it is. And now people will be like, because of COVID and whatever it is because we are not being taught the way we should. There's so many players now playing, being like, this is what should happen. This is what should happen. And it's this fight that's up here. And then there's all the little kids and all the people down here that need it. And now nothing is happening down here. I know there's people going to argue and say, yes, there is. And there's certain states and I'm talking overall. This is such a shit show. It is beyond. And it is so, there's times I just want to scream in people's faces. Cause I'm like, if you tell me one more time that IDA is doing a good job, and yes, I'm throwing them out there. That's the International Dyslexic Association. Yes, I am, Brent. I'm doing you.
Yes.
The stuff that they are doing, everyone's like, well, look what they're doing. They do. And I've always said they do great teacher, continuing ed and stuff. And then when I really think about it, I'm like, how long have they been around? And then we look how long they've been around and things have not gotten better. So what the fuck are you doing? What the fuck are you doing? And it makes me so angry because of, and I'm not going to get into any political stuff, but like, it's a scary time for education, but it's also needed because it's been a fucking shit show. So like sometimes you need to scare things up to then change it. And I have no idea where it's going to go. We do not know, but what we know is we know a lot and we know what the kids in the chair need, and we are not going to stop. We're going to fucking keep yelling and screaming and arguing with people respectfully. We won't call people names.
Oh, I will.
Well,
I will, and I'll continue to, because they don't have it, and this is, when I say this, people are like, what are you talking about? Dyslexia is the most corrupt business in the world. So people, I want to say it's getting better. It's not getting better. It's gotten worse.
There's too many fucking people that think they know what.
There's no headquarters for dyslexia in the world. It's the second most common thing in the world. Second most common thing in the world. So tell me, how did that make sense? It doesn't. And I'm, the government aspect. The funny thing is, when I was up in Washington lobbying and up in Congress and having conversations, I was actually having the exact opposite conversation of what people wanted. I wanted more government control in the dyslexic world. Mm-hmm. It's like, why? We know we want each state. So now what this is that they want each state to have control. And that, actually, I've heard it even worse, where they want to break it down into counties. So Nassau County, So now you're going to have, I don't even, what's a normal state have, 40 counties, 50 counties. So
many.
So you want 50 counties, we'll just use the 50 counties to have 50 different reading programs. Yeah. Now you've just created a bigger business and bigger monopoly, for the IDAs who don't do shit.
I got something to say.
Yes. Good girl, Juliet. Thank you for raising your hand. You can go now.
And I don't mean to interrupt you, but I also wanted to bring this because this is like, we have gotten this a million times, this documentary Left Behind, and we're going to go into a little bit more of this later. But one of the things I was like, well, no, listen, because there is something out there. If there's certain districts that don't have money, those kids are fucked. We already talked about this. 50% of prison inmates. Like, there's so many things that are so wrong that people don't understand, nor do they want to understand, because it's like, how do I even help? And that's what it is. It's like, how do I even help there? I don't even know what to do. There's so much wrong and stuff. So there's this documentary that I was like, okay, this feels good. I like what they're saying. And then we realized it had IDA on it. And I was like, immediately I got pissed, because I was like, okay, again, we're going out there. And yes, it's great that they're bringing awareness, and it's great that these parents wrapped around. How many years ago was this? And things are still getting worse and worse and worse and worse. Wow. So what the fuck are people doing? What are you fucking doing?
And here's, for an example, here in last year in Illinois, they passed a bill where each school, if you come with a neuropsych test, they don't have to acknowledge it. They can they gave their own tests, and they give their own diagnosis. So these big groups like this are allowing bullshit like this to happen, because now, and what this all comes down to, I've got the best reading program, or I've got the best
I was just going to say something. Yeah.
I've got the best this. It's a business to them. They don't care.
It's an ego fight. It's an ego fight. And I was going to use a different word, but I was like, okay, I won't say that.
It's an ego, so here we are in Illinois, no outside tests, right? And I talked to a neuropsych, just recently, who, it's amazing how much pushback I'm getting. She didn't even know why she's getting pushback. why am I the dumb hockey player who knows more than you? Why do so? This is, it is not getting better. It's getting more watered down. The information that's getting out there. Well, and it doesn't matter if you don't have money for food, you're not going to survive. So if you don't have money for anything, you're further behind than someone who does. That's the reality of it, right? We know that. But nobody has an understanding of dyslexia, so it doesn't matter if you have money or you don't have money. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's the people that are running it. There's another group here in Illinois. I'm not gonna say they reach out to me, kind of want to do a partnership, and I spoke to the individual, and the guy's like, I said, so how many people on your board are dyslexic? Oh, he goes, you know what? Actually, I'm the only one. I'm new, just got here recently. I'm like, oh, so your whole group is all about dyslexia and dyslexics and getting them to read and do all this stuff, but none of you have it? How does that make sense? And that's who's leading the charge of all this. And it's, you don't have it. Just like, I can't tell, African-American man how to feel. I can't. I don't know. I'm not being racist. He can't tell me how I feel, when it comes to all that kind of stuff. I can't tell him. Exact same thing as a non-dyslexic cannot tell me how to feel and what I need.
Mm-hmm. And so this is why because again, we've talked about, I've done a lot of stuff like small, where I've like helped support families and done stuff in my little communities and stuff. And there's 3 things that you just said there that I want people to really think about and listen to. Is you knew about the laws in your state, doctors, heads of education at universities. We have come across so many different people that are like, well, wait a second, a top university that wanted to do some stuff that we've talked to, the head of their education department didn't know that certain IEPs in certain states couldn't use the word dyslexic, that diagnosis is a specific learning disability.
Yeah. Certain states can't use the word dyslexia.
It can be in the notes, but you have to fight if you're a parent, and you have to know that to fight to get it in. But it's a specified learning disability. That's like saying, it's so broad. There's so many things. That's whatever. We're not going to even get into that on this episode. But the fact that you know as much as you know, and I knew that from when I first met you, and was like, this is who I want to support in this. This is who I want to support in this, because he is going to say it how it is. He is going to fight because he has the understanding and also the anger. I mean, really, the anger and the feelings about it. And this is what's important. And that's why I wanted to start doing this in every episode. Actually, Dan was saying it, and I was like, no, we actually don't. But the Sopal Foundation that you have is a 501(c)(3). So people can donate.
501(c)(3), yes.
Did I say it backwards?
You're close.
I always oh, hello, dyslexia. Wait, say it again. 501(c)(3).
C3.
I always put the 3 before the C. So
C3. What that is, it's a charity entity. Right. So this is all charity. It's tax
deductible.
Yep.
And so we need to start talking about that more, because we don't talk about it on Word Blindness. And people that are listening will get, how can we support you? Donations. I mean, really, it's donations and people's time. If you have that same vision that we have, there's time, and that will come later. We're still not there where it's like, okay, we have all of these. But go ahead.
No.
I know what you're going to say.
No, it's, and you're right on that 501(c)(3). You're right on on the charity funds you need to run a business, anything. But everybody's like, what are you going to do with it? The biggest thing is everybody wants change. Like, we want to change the education system. We want to change medical. But let's go back to what we said. You can't, or we can't, or whoever in this cannot change something they don't understand. So let's just use it, if I walk into, if I'm working in a business and I walk into my boss and say, I need X, Y, and Z. If your boss doesn't know what that is or what that means, they're going to say no. So we can't change something that without educating them what that is. So everybody wants change. There's nobody wants more change when it comes to the dyslexic world than us. But they're not going to change something they don't understand. So we have to educate them what this means, what we are talking about, and not have them looking at it, we got 10 heads. So it's to be able to go out there and have these conversations, with people, with companies, with schools, with superintendents,
with legislation. Yeah.
You can't change something you don't understand. So everybody's like, you're right. We all want to be at 10. And that's where I think it's got to go 1, 2, 3. You can't be at 10. And we're all at 10. We got to go back to 1 to educate, what it is before we can make that change.
Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of people that get in the way of that. But so sobelfoundation.org, 501c3.
Good. Oh, okay. Good. Well done.
Oh, that hurt my head. I know. It's so funny. I always flip it.
It's took me a while to remember that one.
Remember that, yeah. No, I always flip it, and then I'm always like, wait, fuck. But that is, people can go and donate $1. We're actually doing a campaign right now. This might go out afterwards, but it is for February. If you go on your phone keypad, LOVE, I think it's 5683 or 38, because I'm going to flip it again. But I think it is 5. I can look at my phone, but I was like, let me see if I can remember.
6.
I got that right. 5683.
83. Wow, impressive.
Uh-huh. Thanks. I'm good at some stuff. But that is it is so important. And we're not here. And this is what anyone that knows me, yes, I always was the unicorn, positive, see positive, see positive. And I'd like to see the positive. I like to see the good in people. Not that you don't. I'm not saying that. I like to see the good in people because that actually gets me through the day. Because if I really actually think about all the fucked up, evil shit bags that are out there, that would probably put me in not the best state. And I don't like that. So I like to think, oh, wait, there has to be a little smidge of positivity there. And so I like to find that. But in this world, in this dyslexic world, it is so frustrating because you see people that think they know more. They tell me, oh, but look where you are. So your dyslexic didn't really get you that. I'm like, okay, go fuck yourself, first of all. But there's so many different things, or, oh, that's not that big of a deal. And it's like, okay, well, let me give you the reason. And one of the podcasts that Montgomery and Bradley did, one of the things that he said that just sometimes screams in my head, and it actually hurts my heart so much because I'm like, okay, I put you there. But when he says public schools, and now we're talking all schools, but he had a good experience in a private school. So I'm going to say that we were very fortunate, but public schools are not made for kids like me. And that was a direct quote from him. Yeah. And that kills me. Really actually hurts, really hurts every time I say it and think about him saying that, because as you said, we know from a very young age that there's something different about us. And we go about things with a lot of questions, a lot of, well, why? And it's so much. It's so much. And what you want to do, and what is so beautiful about you, is you want to protect all of those kids that are going through it. And it's hard when sometimes parents reach out and ask you advice and they do the opposite. But then I've always said to you, because it's happened to me a couple times and close to my heart, where I'm like, oh my God. But we all also need to fall on our faces sometimes. I didn't listen to my mom when I was going through the IEP, and she was in education, right? It's these things that we just have to keep staying in our lane and doing what we're doing and trying to stay above water on the days that are hard, on the days that and you feel that you don't have any understanding and that no one's there and that you're just banging your head against a wall constantly, and it takes you down and you go through the cycles of it. But you're like, it's wild. I'll just say that.
Well, it's long, building something that's never been built for it, isn't easy. What do they all say? Rome wasn't built, in a day. Never been to Rome. Don't want to go to Rome.
I love Rome.
Don't care to go to Rome.
No, it's like one of my favorite cities. Oh, I love Rome. Oh my God. It's so good. But that's for another podcast.
Who wants to travel?
I know. Well, you've traveled you've done so much traveling, but that is one city. I if I could speak Italian, I would live there, and I love Rome. Oh my God, there's so much just love. Oh,
what?
I mean, for just the food, the architecture, the people, the energy. It's just all I love. I love it.
Well, food? Why? What kind of food? Italian? Terrible. Architecture? Boring.
No, it
cares.
I know you've been everywhere, so no, some of the art is like it's just breathtaking.
I'd take grab a paint and throw it against the wall too, and it looks exactly the same thing.
No, not this, not this. But we're not here to talk about Rome. We're not here to talk about Rome. Attention deficit sidetrack. It's hilarious, but I think everyone can understand and feel where we are, what we're doing, and support. I mean, seriously, go and share this, but share the foundation, because there's someone in your life that's dyslexic. I mean, and whether it's a neighbor or whatever, there's someone in your life that's dyslexic. We know that. And it's so interesting. And I will leave it at this. I was out somewhere and I was talking to this woman. She's a special ed teacher, and her daughter and husband are dyslexic, and her daughter actually went into special ed. And I was like, oh, I'm so interested. Lived in the area that I'm in now. And she said, and it was interesting because she's like, oh, you have what do you tell me about? And I mentioned IDA. She got very quiet. So I think she probably liked IDA. So I was like, okay, I know where not to go there. But what she said was, she's like, I'll never forget. My daughter came home one day in third grade, and it was like, everyone is in their book groups, right? And both boys talked about this. Like, this is like torture. Like, we need to fucking change this, like assholes. And it was like, okay, everyone go to your bin to get your book. And she went to another bin, and the special ed teacher yelled out throughout the whole class, whatever her name is, you're in the wrong bin. You have to go down to A. And she said that broke my kid that day. Mm-hmm. She goes, but she went in and she, reamed and freaked out. But this is where, okay, as a human being, you think that's okay to shame a child? Like, why are you a teacher? Why are you a special education teacher? Why are you even on this fucking planet if that's how you talk to a child, and without awareness that you think that that's okay? And that's where, like, people need to be self-aware and think how they are interacting and speaking and dealing, because you and I both have had many of these situations where outside of school, someone says something and you're like, okay, first of all, that hurts my feelings. Did you think before you fucking speak?
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's a whole new rabbit hole. So we'll leave it there.
I'm going to stop it. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So thank you for joining Word Blindness, Dyslexia Exposed. You guys know what to do. I say it every single fucking time. Like, rate, review, and share because you don't know who needs to hear this. We'll see you for next episode. Thanks, Brent.